Hi guys, this is Amit Rishi, and in today's session, we'll try to analyze UPSC examination in perspective of ecology and environment. There are certain ground rules that you must understand. See, we already have a goal in our mind, so we have to have a strategy, and for that we have to understand exactly what the UPSC wants from its aspirants. We have to know exactly what are the requirements. Now, as you can see, if we analyze UPSC examination, it tests your analytical skills, how well you are good at in analyzing. It could be facts, it could be concepts, and it sees whether you have the expertise in application of these concepts in different areas. And this all information could be gathered from your classroom teaching, from online sessions, or from different books. But remember, it's more of an analytical skill. As we all know, UPSC is divided into two examinations, UPSC Prelims and UPSC Mains. Now, UPSC Prelims tests your range of knowledge, width, how wide your knowledge is, how far you have gone to, acquire a particular knowledge. But in UPSC Mains, it tests your depth of knowledge. I mean, how well you know about a particular subject, a particular topic. So these two differ entirely differently. These two are entirely different. The way we approach prelims is absolutely different from our methodology of dealing with the mains. Moving on, a general analysis. Most of you are aware of this, that the content of the paper is generally divided into two parts, static and dynamic. These are two portions. The static portion, for those who don't know, let me explain. The static portion of any subject, we will discuss of environment and ecology, includes the contents which doesn't change with time. For example, say there is a definition. There is a definition of what exactly is the ecology. It has been said, it has been established 200 years ago. It is not going to change. So there are certain facts, certain principles, certain concepts, organizations. For example, WWF. It has been working for 20 to 30 years. There are environmental protocols. These are not going to change. These are called static portion. But then there are certain areas which are dynamic in nature. They keep on changing because of development, because of initiatives. For example, there could be recent development or discoveries. With the time passing, we may need to amend a particular law. We may need to change a particular protocol. It may occur that certain facts are discovered, so it changes our point of view. So a new organization, for example, WWF India may associate itself with Wildlife Institute of India for a particular tiger conservation program. So it's a kind of dynamic portion. It keeps on changing. It is also known as current affairs. So with changing times, United Nations and a big organization may release new protocol. They may agree to make new convention. Recent discoveries, these all comes under dynamic portion of your syllabus. This is a general analysis. Now, we'll try to analyze the number of questions in UPSC prelims. So as you can see, there is almost a kind of stability, we can say. In 2020, 14 questions were asked. So we could say 15 to 22, I would say. is a safe bracket to assume that this number much of question will fall every year. Now you can see it holds a very important domain in your entire UPSC preparation. Even in mains, if you see, in 2019, 50 marks were allocated just for environment and ecology. So since nobody can predict the exact marks, but if we assume from our previous experiences and assumption, I would say 45 to maybe 60 is a safe bracket to assume. For mains examination, 45 to 60 marks is surely gonna come. Now let's see the pattern analysis. Now see, there is no syllabus for prelims. Make it clear in your mind. There could be different kind of books available in the market, but those are not UPSC syllabus. The UPSC official document says just a single line that general issues on environment ecology, biodiversity and climate change that do not require subject specialization. A superficial information is required. There is no syllabus of UPSC, but even then, when I analyzed the previous year question papers, I found something relevant, and based on those, we can have certain areas which can be treated as a syllabus for you. But here is something very important that you must know. Most questions, as I saw, were asked from dynamic part that we have just seen, that keep on changing, also known as current affairs. But the trend has been changed in last couple of years. Even in 2020, I have seen that more questions are being asked from static part. You know, what I personally think is that UPSC wants its aspirants to know the basic concepts. So what we have to do, we need a balanced approach. A balanced approach is required for covering both portions, the static as well as the dynamic part. Now, why static portion is important? Because static portion give you concepts. It gives you concepts. Based on the concepts, you will have the knowledge. And only after you have the knowledge, you can apply these knowledge on the questions. You can have your own opinion. So we can also say that while preparing for these, UPSC wants to know what exactly is your opinion. And just for your information, UPSC Prelims 2020, which was just held on 4th of October, asked well below expected number of dynamic portion, that is current affairs. So what exactly I want to say is that a very less number of current affairs question were asked this time. So how they make paper, how they select question, it's up to them. Our analysis says we have to have a balanced approach. Now, based on the previous year question paper and pattern analysis, here is some major topics and then subtopics that are repeatedly asked in your examination. Biodiversity at global, national and local stages, hotspot, endangered and endemic species, plants and animal species and conservation of biodiversity. So what exactly happened in particularly in this topic, conservation of biodiversity is something which is ongoing globally. So there is a trend, there is a pattern globally. So we have to be aware of all the examination related information. So we can also say that UPSC is an awareness based examination. How aware are you about the, say, global warming, about the climate change, the laws pertaining to protection of forest, etc. So you have to be aware of it. Moving on, environment conservation, biodiversity conservation, it includes water conservation, animal rights, climate change, global warming. For example, we have Environmental Protection Act, we have forest related laws, etc. So we have to understand what exactly we are doing in terms of conserving the biodiversity in Indian aspect. Remember, our main focus will always be Indian context. But even though we have to be aware of everything that's happening outside India, which makes it relevant. The relevancy is the key word here. And then environmental pollution. I'm again reiterating myself, guys. This is not your syllabus, but based on the pattern of examination, based on the pattern of questions, this could be treated as a syllabus for you. So different kind of pollutions, disaster management, and then role of IT in environment. Because we see technology is now spreading in every domain of our life. And what I have personally seen every year, one to two, or we could say safely say 3 to 4 questions are asked in examination related to this topic. And then national and international organization related to environment and conservation and monitoring. So basically, I will explain a role of IT. For example, suppose a new technology does something for the benefit of humankind. It becomes important for you to understand. It becomes important to you to know about what exactly has achieved by using this new technology. If it's helping humankind, either by reducing the climate change or by helping us in dealing with any kind of problem or mitigating the effect of anthropogenic is human activities to the environment. And then we have various environment related organizations, protocols and conventions. And what are the various steps they take yearly or maybe at any given time. Now, moving on. Now, why UPSC wants you to have a good information of environment and ecology? See, in 2013, when the civil services prelim examination and forest services prelims were combined as one examination, the entire ecology and environment became important for you. Even the economic survey, I was going through economic survey and found that the version 2 or volume 2, both are same, you can say chapter 5, mentioned about climate change, sustainable development and energy. This was in 2016 and 17. Again in 2017 and 18, the volume 1 chapter 5 of the economic survey, it mentions about climate change and agriculture. And again in the same economic survey, the volume 2 version 2 same thing, chapter 5 mentions about sustainable development, energy and climate. So we can say that economic development, the economy and the ecology and environment are intertwined, they are mixed, they are dependent upon each other. So making any kind of economic policy will require certain kind of information from ecology and environment as well, not only making the implementation part as well. So in economics also, the knowledge of environment and ecology is important. Moving on, in Indian context particularly, see, we have natural disasters and it is very common issue. And the ill effect, the effect that the aftermath, what actually happens after a natural disaster, it's quite different from how it is treated in different parts of the world, in Europe, in Australia, because we have a different level of illiteracy, poverty, and population, which leads to disease, long-term livelihood impact, etc. So we have to treat it differently. And for that, we need to understand what kind of ecology and environment we have in India. A conceptual understanding of basic ecological factors is a must for everyone. While we make a policy that will affect entire Indian subcontinent, because we have different kind of people, we have different climate, we have different culture. So we cover this all in ecology and environment, and that's why we need this information in making policies. Apart from that, we have traditional knowledge. India is a democracy. We have a traditional knowledge associated with different religions. For example, the concepts of sacred forests, sacred animals like cow or tulsi. There are fruit values. For example, the coconut is treated as a has some ethical value. It has treated as a spiritual fruit. So, for example, trees, mountains, rivers, we worship river Ganga, for example. So what I want to say is that we have traditional values associated with different factors of environment and ecology. So we must understand this. So we cannot make a policy that fits all. A policy that may be working good in Northeast may not work well in Kerala. Something which has performed well in Uttar Pradesh may not work as expected in Chennai. So we have to understand these factors while dealing with people. Apart from that, we have different kind of seasons. We have different kind of crops. So every civil service aspirant needs to have this information up upon its sleeves. Now moving on, let's see some previous year question to understand the question pattern. How question pattern reveals what the UPSC wants from you to know. Now these are some actual questions from which are asked. With reference to food chain and ecosystem, consider the following statement. So basically, it is trying to know whether you know the standard definition or not. There are key terms like population. What exactly is a species? What exactly is a food chain? These are key terms. These are basic terms that we covered in static portion. So it starts with the base, your concept, your ground. Another question from UPSC. Recently, oil zapper was in news. What is it? As we discussed, this is a kind of technology-driven bacteria which help us in mitigating, in removing oil sludge. So what happened here? Technology helped us, the humankind, in dealing with the problems associated with climate change. It was done by TERI, the Indian organization. It's a kind of bioremediation technique. So it comes under dynamic portion. It's something which we have recently discovered it using technology as a solution. So what is the relevance of it? It can be used in different similar conditions. So as more and more things are discovered, it becomes important for you in dynamic portion. Moving on. Again, a question which was asked in 2018. Which one of the following terms describes not only the physical space occupied by an organism, but also its functional role? See guys, we are not solving the question. We are just trying to analyze the question. Now see again, standard definition, conceptual term, and what is the relevance of asking this question by UPSC? It is just making sure that you have the basic term, base, you know the base of this particular topic. Now, in contrast, again, what is unique about Kharai camel breed found in India? It is something which has recently been discovered. It is more of an adaptation by a particular breed, that is camel, and it has a ability to survive both on land and sea. Apart from that, it is found only in Gujarat. So these kind of questions are being asked to, you know, keep in mind there are certain things that UPSC wants every aspirant to know, and these are some examples of it. Now, recently the examination which took place in 4th of October in Prelims 2020, there was a question which was related to India's desert national park. And what was the knowledge that was required? The law that is protecting it. About the Great Indian Bustard. This particular bird has some unique property. We'll cover that when we cover the endangered species, and we'll see what exactly is a IUCN Red List and what exactly is a National Wildlife Action Plan. So we can see an international organization and a national organization, they are working both together for the conservation. You can see that the government of Gujarat has developed a mobile application to monitor the movement of this particular bird. So what we are doing, we are using the new technology. The government is pumping money, making different kind of projects to save this particular bird. So these are the initiatives taken by government to save this particular species, or could be a different species. So this becomes an important area that you must know about. Now here is an important case study. Now there is a bunny grassland in Gujarat. It is said that a tree that ate up the grass of bunny grassland, a funny title to begin with. Now what happened in 1950? A mesquite tree was imported from South America, and the basic need of, you know, getting this tree in Gujarat was to stop the entry of salt from run into the bunny grassland. You know, a kind of barrier was required so that the salt could be stopped in the grassland area. So what happened? No ecological, no environmental assessment was done before bringing this particular plant in this area. In fact, the people of Banni call is call this particular plant as mad babul. We'll see why. This particular plant that was imported from South America was a fruit bearing plant, and it flourished very well. It was used for a livestock, for cows, buffalo, etc. And it what happened? The fruits that was eaten with the cattle carried further in the bunny grassland. It reaches different parts, and this particular tree started spreading. So this was the expected result, and this is the reality of bunny grassland today. Just because a proper assessment, a proper knowledge of ecology and environment was not done before bringing this particular plant from America to India. Now, what was the result? In 1997, And in 2009, it grew up to 70,000 hectares. In fact, there was a bulletin on ecology and management of grassland habitats of India. This particular journal, and this provided the information. There are different kind of information, but what is relevant for us, that it started from just 6% and made this entire Banni grassland to a woodland. In fact, the native ones, the plants that grow naturally in this area, were also damaged. So this is what happens if we don't have the knowledge of ecology and environment while dealing with different areas of India or maybe entire globe. Another example, I think you all are aware of this particular plant, also known as Parenthium hystrophorus, also known as the Congress grass. In Achanakmar Tiger Reserve, Bilaspur, Chhattisgarh, it was planted just for decorative intent. The intention was just for the decoration, but it grew so fast that it ate up the entire region. Not only that, it also hindered it, you know, overpowered the native plants. Another example, if you don't have the knowledge of ecology, what could happen is the case of Burmese python. The Burmese python was introduced in the United States for controlling the population of rats. So when they finished up the rat, they started feeding upon the cats and then the birds. And they became so ferocious, they became so dangerous that from India, native tribes called Irula, two people were particularly flown from India to United States just to capture this particular Burmese python. And in fact, as a matter of fact, they, you know, caught around 30 to 35 snakes in just a gap of 3 to 4 days. So you can see globally how much we are spending every year in managing and controlling this particular invasive species. It's a technical term. We'll see what exactly invasive species is. Is just which is imported from some place without overseeing what it could become. Moving on. Final thoughts, why subject is important for UPSC aspirants. Now see, the government makes policy to protect the environment. But the bureaucrats, the you people who are preparing for UPSC eventually will become the person, the people who will have to implement this in the form of IAS and IFS officers. So you have to take care of awareness campaign, different kind of programs to make people aware of the ecology, the environment, how the government is helping them. So before telling them, before conducting a kind of program, you must have the basic concept, the basic information related to this particular ecology and environment. Apart from that, sometimes we have to, have to use carrot and stick methodology. So you also must understand what are the existing laws of ecology and environment while dealing with the people. And we all know that the climate of India is different and distinct. So government policy, government programs, the awareness program, to make this program successful, you have to understand, you have to know, you must have gathered information about a particular area, how the people, how the vegetation, how the environment, how the basic, all the basic working of this particular domain of area works before implementing a particular program, and only after that the success or failure can be determined. Now, according to UPSC, if we quote UPSC, a bureaucrat is a neutral one. It is not people oriented, I mean, not totally people oriented, and not government oriented. It's a neutral person. And that's why, as we covered in our previous slides, in mains, more opinion based questions are asked. UPSC wants to know what you opines, what exactly is your opinion. And for that, you have to understand the socio-economic aspect. For example, the Chipko movement was a more socio-economic aspect, and then Epico movement in South India. So at present, ecology and environment and biodiversity, these are the area that are undergoing intense study. They are receiving close review, and they have broad and current interest. And that's why ecology and environment, every aspirant must know and understand ecology and environment. Now about preferred source and study material, everyone wants to know if there is any particular book. This particular UPSC Prelims 2020 has made it extremely clear that there is no particular book. It is more of an awareness, as I am repeating myself over and over and over again, just to make sure you grasp this particular information, that UPSC is more about an awareness program, awareness examination, awareness study that you must know. But even then, NCRT books, NEIOS model, government reports, MOFCC and NVIS website, these are, and PIB Yojana, these are the places from here where you can get authentic information. And for the dynamic portion, you can use the leading news dailies. Like, well, I would suggest you can have your own particular choice, Hindu or Indian Express. So see guys, UPSC or any examination, as we all know, is as important. It is important for you to understand that what is relevant, what is important for you to study, as well as what not to study. And there comes the word relevance. Okay, so you have to understand what to study and what not to study as well. And what will be our strategy? We have to make structured notes. Either it could be handwritten or could be digital in your laptops, in your mobile handheld devices, iPad, etc. It should be structured notes because it saves time. While revision, you have to have an organized and focused effort. Revision is the key. Remember, guys, revision is the key. If you are studying 7 days a week, make sure the seventh day is dedicated only for revision. And as I said, always go for authentic. And there are certain topics and information that UPSC wants you to know very well. Ongoing programs for rural areas, ongoing laws, new changes, BS6 for example, these are some important information that you must know. Now, how we have fared, how we have performed, see the relevance. These are some snapshots from leading news dailies in Maharashtra. Two senior IAS officers to monitor COVID-19 pandemic. Now IAS officers are coming forward. Why? Because they have the information. How COVID-19, the coronavirus, it will be treated, will be taken care of, how it will affect people in the United States, in Europe, in Africa, in Australia will be different from how it is affecting people in India. So senior IAS officers are coming forward. Why? Because they have the knowledge. So they have been promoted. They have been given the chance to control this. This is in Maharashtra. This happened in Kasaragod, Odisha. Here again, an IAS officer created Kasaragod model for curbing COVID-19. Indian bureaucrat rise to the occasion. Why? Because they have the knowledge of ecology and environment, and they are well have they have the expertise to deal with it. They know the people, they know the disease, and they know how to the difference between these two and how they can break the difference between these two. Again, Odisha appoints senior IAS officers, COVID-19 observers in charge of district. So there are many news, many articles, there are many information that proves that environment and ecology is a must, is a subject that you must understand. So guys, I think this particular session has been informative for you, and so we'll meet again, guys. This is Amit Rishi signing off. Have a good day. Thank you.